Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again, because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping, and the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence. In restless dreams I walked alone, narrow streets of cobblestone, 'neath the halo of a street lamp. I turned my collar to the cold and damp, when my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light. It split the night and touched the sound of silence, and in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. People talking without speaking, people hearing without listening, people writing songs that voices never share. No one dared disturb the sound of silence. Fool, said I, you do not know that silence like a cancer grows. Hear my words that I might reach you, take my arms that I might reach you, but my words like silent raindrops fell and echoed in the wells of silence. And the people bowed and prayed to the neon god they made, and the sign flashed out its warning in the words that it was forming. And the sign said, the words of the prophets are written on the subway walls and tenement halls, whispered in the sound of silence. Good morning.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Atlanta. My dear friend Tony Knuppel and I are playing. Tony's going to move to Wisconsin on Friday, which we're all very sad. Oh, I know. Convince him to stay. But Tony and I have played, I don't know, over 100 songs together here at UUCA over the last 10 years. So it's exciting to make a little music together. Our first hymn this morning is a beautiful hymn called Breaths by Dr. Issei Barnwell. Please rise in body or in spirit. Oh, there's a weird moment in the song. You'll see at the bottom. It goes like this. Za, whoosh, ah, whoosh. Try it. Za, whoosh, ah. It repeats. Za, whoosh, ah, whoosh. So you got the weird part. The rest is just pretty. Go for it, Travis. Listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the water. Za, whoosh, ah, whoosh, za. Those who have, there's another slide. Quick pause for the next slide.
Computer just crashed.
The computer just crashed. It's number 1001 in the Teal Hymnal if you want to find it. Oh, there it is. And those who have died have never, never left. The dead have a pact with the living. They are in the woman's breast. They are in the wailing child. They are with us in our homes. They are with us in this crowd. The dead have a pact with the living. So listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the water. Za, whoosh, ah, whoosh, za, whoosh, ah, whoosh, za, whoosh, ah, whoosh, za. We are so glad you are here this Sunday morning. It's the best place to be in Atlanta, Georgia. Any and every Sunday.
Amen.
Amen.
Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Atlanta, a beloved community that is changing lives. I'm Amelia Shenstone, and I'm so glad you're here this morning. Wherever you are from and whomever you love, you are welcome here. If this is your first time, or if you've not yet had a chance, please stop by our Welcome Center in the social hall after the service to let us get to know you a little better. You can sign up to receive information about services and programs being presented over the next several weeks. It's summertime, and for our children's religious education, that means cool workshops that congregants are leading. Resident artist Nina West, is Nina here? She's probably setting up. She will kick off our very first workshop on creating art, so we're very excited. For more info, please check your order of service. You can also talk to one of the hosts at the RE table in the social hall. After the service at 11:30 a.m., we offer religious education classes for adults. And once again, take a look at the order of service for more information. I especially want to highlight our Inquirers class, which is great for people wanting to learn more about this faith community. It meets in room number 1, right off the social hall. Today, the guest speakers will be Reverend Makar and board member Bryce Thomason. Here in the sanctuary, also at 11:30 a.m., join Dr. Godfrey Oakley, UUCA member and world-renowned director of the Center for Spina Bifida Prevention at Emory University, as he leads a conversation about medical ethics. Why do some new drugs become available and others do not? What are the ethical implications of gene editing? Does requiring vaccinations present potential ethical conflicts related to religious beliefs and personal freedom? Join Dr. Oakley for a conversation that is sure to be thought-provoking and informative. And now, please be sure to take this moment to put your cell phone in its most reverent position. Thank you. Once again, we are glad you're here on this beautiful morning.
From an unknown author comes these words. The rich and the poor listen to the voice of death. The learned and the unlearned listen. The proud and the humble listen. The honest and deceitful listen. The old and the young listen. But when death speaks to us, what does it say? Death does not speak about itself. It does not say, fear me. It does not say, wonder at me. It does not say, understand me. But it says to us, think of life. Think of the privilege of life, think how great a thing life may be made. To live and to die well, we must hear the voice of death before we die, so that we may reimagine the time we do have before us as more precious than we had ever thought possible. Today we hear the voice of death coming to us from the 55 voices of fellow UUCA members over 12 years, whose memorial services I have had the privilege to perform. Each and every time, death has said to me and has said to all, think of life. Think of the privilege of life. Think how great a thing life may be made.
Reverend Makar will light our chalice this morning in honor of the 55 UUCA members and friends he has spoken of. Their names are on the chalice table for all to see. Let's say the chalice lighting words together. May the light of this flame illuminate our tradition of seeking, invite all who yearn for acceptance, and ignite our passion for justice and peace.
And our passion for warmth in community, beloved community. Let's greet each other now with a handshake or a hug.
Chief, good morning, sir. How are you?
This guy, looking spry. Hey. This next song is this is a song by the band Iron and Wine. It's called "Call It Dreaming." Say it's here where our pieces fall in place. Any rain softly kisses us on the face. Any wind means we're running. We can sleep and see him coming. Where we drift and call it dreaming. We can weep and call it singing. Where we pray when our hearts are strong enough. We can bow 'cause our music's warmer than blood. Where we see enough to follow. We can hear when we are hollow. Where we keep the light we're given. We can lose and call it living. 'Cause the sun isn't only sinking fast. Every night knows how long it's supposed to last. Where the time of our lives is all we have. And we get a chance to say, before we ease away, for all the love you've left behind, you can have mine. say it's here where our pieces fall in place. We can fear, 'cause the feeling's fine to betray. Where our water isn't hidden, we can burn and be forgiven. Where our hands hurt from healing, we can laugh without a reason. 'Cause the sun isn't only sinking fast. Every moon in our bodies makes shining glass. Where the time of our lives is all we have, and we get a chance to say, before we ease away, for all the love you've left behind, you can have mine. You can have mine. You can have mine.
Today's reading comes from Reverend Forrest Church, who shared these words even as he was dying from terminal cancer. Being an agnostic about the afterlife, I look for salvation here, not to be saved from life, but to be saved by life, in life, for life. Such salvation has 3 dimensions. Integrity, or individual wholeness, comes when we make peace with ourselves. Reconciliation, or shared wholeness, comes when we make peace with our neighbors, especially with our loved ones. Redemption, in the largest sense, comes when we make peace with life and death, with being itself, with God. All our lives end in the middle of the story. There is ongoing business left unfinished. We leave the stage before discovering how the story will turn out. In the meantime, however, to help ensure a good exit, one thing is fully within our power. We can take care of unfinished business. We can make peace with ourselves, reconcile where possible with our loved ones, and free ourselves to say yes to the cosmos, to embrace our lives and deaths, to make peace with God. To be free to accept death is to be free, period. The courage we need comes before, when we face our own demons, to reach out across a great divide, to touch hands. It is life work, not death work, but it pays great dividends down the line. So if you need to, put down that drink, or pick up the phone. You know what your unfinished business is. Don't wait until it's too late to begin taking care of it. Death may come as a thief in the night, but it cannot steal from you the love you have given away, the strength you have shown in facing life's hardships, or the courage you have proved in quelling your inner demons.
Abide with me, fast falls the eventide, but darkness deepens, still with me abide. When other helpers fail and comforts flee,
Let us put hands on hearts. Feel the warm connection there, this simple gesture of kindness. Let kindness and love in this moment flow. Say to yourself silently, I will love myself and I will love others. And that love will help heal our world. And now the joys and sorrows of our beloved community. Longtime member Olivia Kappas has died. We are sending love and comfort to her son, Dan Kappas, and all her family and friends. The memorial service will take place here at UUCA on Sunday, July 14th at 2 p.m. At this time, I invite you to say out loud the names of people you are holding in your heart this morning. We expand the circle of our beloved community to include all those affected by the Virginia Beach shooting this past Friday. We grieve the loss of lives, and we grieve the gridlock in Congress that prevents gun reform and safer neighborhoods. May our grief make us fed up. May our grief get us to act up. The arc of the universe is long, said the Unitarian minister Theodore Parker, but it bends towards justice. That is what he said, yes. And sometimes, when the length feels too long, unbearably long, we must double down on our faith that justice will come. May we have faith and believe a better day is coming. Let silence be our sanctuary now. We take in a big breath, and then we exhale. We gently surrender to something larger than ourselves. We enter into the wise silence.
I fear no foe, with thee at hand to bless. Ills have no weight, and tears no bitterness. Where is death's sting? Where grave thy victory? I triumph still if thou abide with
The Reverend Peter Rabel has written, "We build on foundations we did not lay. We warm ourselves by fires we did not light. We sit in the shade of trees we did not plant. We drink from wells we did not dig. We profit from persons we did not know. This is as it should be. Together, we are more than any one person could be. Together, we can build across the generations. Together, we can renew our hope and faith in the life that is yet to unfold. Together, we can heed the call to ministry of care and justice. We are ever bound in community. May it always be so." Perhaps Reverend Rabel concludes the way he does, "May it always be so," because sometimes it isn't so. Sometimes the individuals are trying to build across generations and renewing hope, all alone and not together in community. Sometimes, too many times, people are going it alone and they do not know the great blessings and benefits of life in covenantal community, where we promise to be there for each other. When we screw up, we apologize and do better next time. During memorial services especially, the great blessings and benefits of life in covenantal community are especially clear. Together, we honor the richness of the life of the one who has died. Together, we practice the great letting go, which eventually comes to all whom we love and will come to us one day. And therefore, we are renewed in our living. We do this together. Thank you so much for your generous giving to UUCA. Without it, our togetherness cannot last long. The offering will now be given and gratefully received.
Tony. It's another one of our hits that Tony and I wrote. Actually, James Taylor wrote this one. This is a song. Yeah, we wrote it together, maybe. A song called Copper Line.
Even the old folks, they never knew why they call it like they do. I was wondering since the age of 2, down on Copper Line.
Copper head, a copper beach, a copper kettle sitting side by each, a copper coil cup of Georgia peach down on Copper Line.
Half a mile down to Morgan Creek, leaning heavy on the end of the week.
Hercules and a hog-nosed snake down on Copper Line. We were down on Copper Line.
One summer night on the Copper Line, slip away past supper time. Wood smoke, new moonshine down on the Copper Line.
One time I saw my daddy dance. I watched him moving like a man in a trance. I brought it back from the war in France down on Copper Line. Ranch water and tomato wine,
Creosote and turpentine,
sour mash and new moonshine
down on Copper Line. We're down on Copper Line. first kiss ever I took, like a page in a romance book. The sky opened and the earth shook. Down on copper line, down on copper line. Took a fall from a windy height. I only knew how to hold on tight. Pray for love enough to last all night down on copper line. The day breaks and the boy wakes up. The dog barks and the birds sing. The sap rises and the angels cry. Yeah. Tried to go back as if I could. All spec house and plywood. Tore up good. Down on copper line. It doesn't come as a surprise to me. It doesn't touch my memories. Man, I'm lifting up. I'm rising free down on copper line. Half a mile down to Morgan Creek. I'm only living till the end of the week. Hercules and a hog-nosed snake down on a copper line. Down on copper line. Take me down on copper line, yeah. Down on copper line.
So if you come through the office, you'll see this beautiful metal sculpture. And many of us already know what I am talking about. It was a sculpture built by a man named Tony Bora. And Tony died in 2017. And he was such a generous giver to this community. He gave into it so much, and that sculpture was his way of sharing something to the future. His way of saying, I love this place, this is my place. I'm investing my life in this place because this place is me. This place represents my highest values and dreams and the person I want to be. And so there it is in that metal sculpture. Now when Tony died, I created an annual award called the Tony Bora Award because I wanted people to remember not his generosity, but also his generosity of spirit. He was one of the warmest folks in our congregation. His smile was so big. Do you remember Tony Bora's smile? He was, yes, and he would greet you at the door, and he'd just have this really great smile. He's so warm. I felt that warmth myself so often in so many ways where he like almost pastored to me. I created this award because I wanted his spirit to live on. I wanted us to recognize the Tony Boras in our midst who are active builders of our community through their generous, warm, hospitable spirit. So many ways of giving, but that was the way I really wanted to affirm through this award. The second, so the first time the award was given, I believe it was to Barbara Begner, is that right? Barbara Burnham, is that right? I think that was the first recipient. Well, I want to offer that award again today, and I already mentioned her name, Barbara Begner. Is Barbara here? Is Barbara here? Where is she? Barbara, come on forward. Come on forward. You should stand up. You should stand up. You should stand up and show her some love. Barbara Begner. This year's recipient of the Tony Bora Award.
Thank you.
Okay, please be seated. Just stay here. Just stay here. So many people that deserve this award, but I wanted to give this award before I left, and I wanted to honor your ministry among us. She's also a badass. Come on! If you have not seen that tattoo, you should see that tattoo because it is the Tony Boer sculpture right there on her arm. That's commitment, folks. How many of you are going to get like tattooed your commitment to UUCA Unitarian Universalism? I'm just being silly. We love you. Thank you so much. You convey Tony Bora's spirit. May we all convey Tony Bora's spirit, one of the builders of this community. And there have been so many. Thank you for your generosity this morning.
And now please join me in the dedication of the offering, which is found in your order of service or on the screen. To the work of this congregation, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action we call community, we dedicate our lives, and these are offerings.
When death speaks, it does not speak of itself. It does not say, fear me. It does not say, wonder at me. It does not say, understand me. But it says to us, think of life. Think of the privilege of life. Think how great a thing life may be made. What makes membership in a congregation so very special is that we muster strength in togetherness for listening to a voice that is very hard to listen to. It does not matter how beautiful the voice's message is about the preciousness of life. For with the voice comes the necessary loss of illusions that we have about the permanence of the things of life that we have grown accustomed to, attached to. The voice calls us to see them as they are, imperfect, fragile, fleeting, and this is so very hard emotionally to do. So we create a space where what is so emotionally hard to do alone, we do it together, so we can do it together. Together, we do what the poet Carl Sandburg says, gather the stars. Gather the songs and keep them. Gather the faces of women. Gather for keeping years and years. And then together, we loosen hands and let go and say goodbye. Let the stars and the songs go. Let the faces and the years go. Loosen hands and say goodbye. I am so grateful for membership in congregational community where we are made resilient for this spiritually paradoxical task of gathering and loosening, gathering and loosening. Through membership, a person is literally declaring for themselves this, how the community represents, as I mentioned a moment ago, our deepest values and highest aspirations, which they want to gather to themselves and to all those people they love. How this community supports them in life, and they want it to be the place where they are remembered in their death. And here are their people. Membership declares that too. Here are my people, the people I am going to promise something to support them in their living. And I promise to remember them in their dying and to learn how to say goodbye. The ultimate expression of this is the memorial service, the gathering of stars and songs and faces, the loosening of hands, letting go and saying goodbye. The ceremony unfolds, and we Unitarian Universalists call it a celebration of life, not just because death is what gives life meaning and urgency, but also because we must celebrate or acknowledge or witness to the mystery of how any life ultimately defeats nothingness, which it most certainly does. As Unitarian Universalists, we will tell different stories about this. Some Unitarian Universalists will speak of reincarnation. Others will speak of there being no afterlife at all. But the one story we can all share in the telling of is how light sent from a star that has long since collapsed continues shining and streaming, and how actions of people who have long since died still reverberate and still influence our world. To paraphrase the Reverend Peter Rabel, foundations have been laid, which we did not build. Fires have been lit, which we did not light. Trees have been planted. We didn't plant them. Wells have been dug, which we did not dig. Any person who has lost a loved one knows that this is true, that death does not end a relationship so much as inaugurate a new beginning for it, a new way of growing through it, a new way of appreciating it. Death is not an end, it is a doorway. And this is the mystery which Unitarian Universalists celebrate in their celebration of life memorial services. And lots of storytelling takes place. The focus is not about God. The focus is not about the afterlife, or if your life is right with Jesus. There's supposed to be a little bit of laughter from that. Where are y'all? There are no altar calls. The only call is to attend to the story of a precious life that has walked through the doorway of death. The only call is to listen and learn and think of the privilege of life. Think how great a thing life may be made. And then when the service is over and all the punch and finger foods and cookies at the reception have been consumed, you go out into the world and lean into your one wild, precious life that you have been given, which by the grace of God you still have. I have officiated at 55 of these services during my 12 years here at UUCA, and right now I want to share with you some of the stories that have called me to live more vibrantly in my own life, and perhaps you will hear that same call too. One story comes from Bill Buckley's memorial in October of 2008. Bill was a detail-oriented, get-stuff-done kind of person, a practitioner of the to-do list, and I personally saw an entire stack of them on the backs of old envelopes. His careful handwriting, small and precise, also detailed lists of things to do and schedules to keep. For example, 9 a.m. UUCA to do inserts for the order of service. Noon, lunch with a friend. 1 p.m., Publix to purchase a cake and some salad fixins. Home afterwards to wash the laundry and vacuum the floor. Stacks and stacks of these to-do lists, schedules to keep, phone call scripts, also short sayings, which I found written on the backs of these old envelopes. Short sayings like, being discouraged is a luxury I cannot afford. Or, go to heaven to get my reward? Nonsense. I'm getting my reward here. Good friends, good health, and waitresses that spoil me. See, it's stuff like that. The guy's dead, but you're like, what does that mean? Or, I take responsibility for my life as it is now. Or, row, row, row your boat, not somebody else's boat. Or, happiness is something you plan on. Or, we can learn something from everybody. Then this one, which is classic Bill, where he quotes from the prayer of St. Francis of Assisi, Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. And then in parentheses, he writes, opportunities are everywhere. And then back to the original prayer, where there's hatred, let me sow love. And following this, he writes, all in capital letters, do in calligraphy and send us Christmas cards. He died working, thinking, giving. But quiet and steady behind the scenes as he might have been, he had a definite sense of humor as well as a passion for justice. And with regard to the humor, here's something that Bill wrote in one of those envelopes. A couple things. What do you get when you throw a hand grenade into a French kitchen? The answer, linoleum blown apart. Oh, but this is even better. Oh yeah, hold on to your hats. This is like rated. Well, here we go. Sex is a misdemeanor. The more you miss, the meaner you get. Oh, that's the Bill Buckley story, and it led me to wonder, what is the eccentricity about me that makes my life sweet and charming? Right? Am I too Puritan and regimented in my world? Are there ways I can just let it all hang out just a little bit more to make life more worth living, you know? Stories about Orion Man took me there as well. You remember Orion? He died September of 2018. He will be missed because he never stopped wearing open-toed sandals, even when there was ice and snow on the ground. And no, I'm just shh. Shh. I'm getting there. He will be missed because he could be counted on to show up at the annual Inman Park holiday party in his festive Scottish kilt, where he would show off his moves on the dance floor and no doubt show off a bit too much skin, too. He will be missed because he had this habit of going swimming at the public pool, and then right as he was getting into his car on the way home, he'd attach his bathing suit to his car antenna, and by the time he arrived, his bathing suit would be all dry. We love people, not just because of their grand and glorious things, but also because of their eccentricities, which make them so very endearing. And then there are stories underneath some of these eccentricities, which once you know them, your heart just melts. The story that comes to mind here is from Lorraine Spalding, whose memorial was smack dab in the middle of my candidating week with you all back in April of 2007. And some of the search team members are shaking their heads because let me tell you, that was throwing something. That was throwing me a fastball, right? Lorraine loved gardening. Her garden was so important to her. And I was told by Karen Lindauer, Karen's out there, right? There she is, that at times her attention to garden details could lean towards the perfectionistic. One fall day, Karen came over to visit Lorraine at her home, and there was Lorraine picking up the leaves spread all over her yard, one by one. One by one. Now, when Karen looked upon the yard, she saw 1,000,000 leaves. And Karen's like, why bother? Don't worry about it. But the details were important to Lorraine. That garden was going to be perfect, no matter what. When Karen shared this with me, I was laughing like crazy, but a lump also formed in my throat, and tears started to form in my eyes, because by that time, I had learned something else about Lorraine. Lorraine's birth mother was mentally ill. She had bipolar disorder, and when Lorraine was just 6 months old, she had Lorraine placed in a foster home for the sake of her safety. And while Lorraine's foster parents loved her and took great care of her, Lorraine grew up feeling a basic insecurity about who she was. Others experienced her as strong and so supportive and caring, but it was only after Lorraine died and her diaries came to light that it was clear her inner struggle, her terrible struggles in her youth to feel okay just as she was. Fear was pervasive for her that if she messed up, her foster parents might send her away. After all, she saw foster children like her come and go. Come and go. So perhaps the perfectionism that Karen saw one day, that ridiculous perfectionism, and the way she was going to pick up all those leaves, those millions of leaves, one at a time, well, maybe it was an echo down through the years of Lorraine feeling like she had to work really hard to earn a sense of security in her life. The real question this takes me to is, how compassionate am I with the perfectionism and the other survival strategies I bring to my world, which definitely give me an edge of eccentricity, but they're also survival strategies, meaning they worked at one time, but maybe not so much now. Maybe now they are creating unhappiness in my world. Can I create better coping skills? I want that, yes, but I can't dare hate myself for ways I tried to survive bad times. And I ask you that as well. Can you acknowledge your survival strategies and balance a desire to evolve more helpful coping mechanisms, even as you honor those old survival strategies? You honor them because they helped you to survive really bad times. What is for sure is that we spiritual beings having a human experience turn our experiences of adversity into a capacity for service. The greatest healers among us have themselves known hurt. The greatest empathizers and listeners among us themselves know firsthand how important it is to be empathized with and listened to. So it is no wonder why Lorraine found herself drawn to counseling as a profession. No wonder she was such a source of stability and strength to so many others. So Lorraine's story urges us to listen very carefully to what Leonard Cohen sings. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That is how the light gets in. On to another story that comes from the life of Joseph Greenberg, who is the Reverend Marty Keller's father. Reverend Marty Keller was an associate minister here at UUCA for many years. Joe died April 2008, and from his service, we heard a great story about his grandmother and how she dealt with an impossible situation. Apparently, Joe's grandmother once told him that he was her absolute favorite grandchild. But completely unknown to him, she went ahead and said the same thing to all the other grandchildren. They were all her absolute favorites. But not knowing this, each grandchild would look upon the other with a secret smile, feeling special, feeling favored above all the others. For years, Joe held this feeling close to his heart. It gave him tremendous strength and courage in his life. So you can imagine his surprise when, many years later, in adulthood, Joe's sister came clean and shared the secret that she had kept so successfully for so many years. Not so! Joe shot back. Joe couldn't believe it. He wouldn't believe it until one of his cousins disclosed that he was their grandmother's favorite. And this is when his deep sense of irony kicked in, and he realized with appreciation how his grandmother beat the system in a way that worked for all. Her offering was by no means perfect, but light got in. Forget your perfect offering. Over and over again, the stories of eccentricity and imperfection that did not prevent success but only prepared the way for it or gave it soulfulness come back to me. across the years, across the years. How greatness in our living is about being unreactive and non-anxious about the imperfection, but creating through it, building through it to a better way. Boyd McCown was so good at this. His memorial service was April of 2018. Once, this music educator par excellence was on a trip to New Zealand where he and his partner were touring a middle school, and they happened to stop at the music class where the students were playing xylophones. But Boyd instantly saw that they were holding the mallets all wrong. But instead of pointing it out in front of everybody and shaming the teacher, Boyd simply went up to one of the students and said, "Could I try that?" He took her mallets and he started playing. And the teacher realized, oh, they've been holding them incorrectly. And he played a little bit with the students. And then he walked out of the door. And that's that. I want to frame that story and put that on my wall. That is what astonishingly great leadership looks like. Leadership which is not about one's ego. It's not narcissism. It is about the good of all. And then there's the great leadership of Ed Mangiafico Jr. in the manner of managing his own dying. The imperfection that life put before him was brain cancer. His service was in March of 2018, and one of the readings he absolutely wanted to have in his service was Billy Collins' poem entitled "The Lanyard." Do you know that poem, The Lanyard? Some of you may. A lanyard is a cord or a strap that you wear around your neck to carry such items as keys or identification cards, right? It's not a big deal, right? Got it. The poem is about the complete cluelessness of the child who makes a lanyard for his mother at summer camp and presents it to her like it is the most precious sacrifice imaginable. And so the poem, she gave me life and milk from her breasts, and I gave her a lanyard. Here are thousands of meals, she said, and here is clothing, and here is a good education, and here is your lanyard, I said. For me, the real question is, how can someone who is enduring something as grim as brain cancer muster up any appreciation for the wry wit of this poem? How can he be laughing? Or more to the point, how do you live every day, every moment, without allowing the knowledge of your inevitable death to spoil all those preceding moments? Ed has something to teach all of us about how healing the spirit can still happen even in the face of inevitable death. The fact is, he said in 2016, that getting my head around the illness, so to speak, brain cancer, hey, just don't throw things, all right? Come on. Getting my head around this illness, so to speak, has opened a window of opportunity for me to embrace honesty in and dedication to our relationship better than at any point over the 7+ years since we met. He is saying that to his wife, Barbara. And then he says something that appears meant for everyone, for you and for me, saying it in his funny and witty way. I'd recommend couples counseling before jumping off the brain tumor bridge to get this done, but you might consider getting it done before something bites you in the ass. That's what he said. Yeah, I said that word. First time I read that, I just exploded in laughter. It was so funny. And then I sighed. I mean, I wish it could be so. I wish that each of us, myself included, could be more proactive about being more vulnerable, more open, more available to the people we love without adversity as the trigger. And yet so often we are not. Forget your perfect offering. We are grateful for Ed, for the example of his life, where he teaches us that true wellness is not necessarily an absence of pain or illness. It is about the presence of larger vision and meaning. Physical suffering is just not the worst thing that can happen to us. The worst thing that can happen is to stop living, to stop trying, to stop loving when there is yet more time available to live and to love and to try. In wholeness is the meaning of our lives. And you can be whole even if you are ill, or even if you're just temporarily abled, right? Knowing that your ability is just temporary. You can still be whole. In wholeness is the meaning of our lives. In wholeness, it is about the hope and the purpose that will get us up out of bed each morning. And suddenly, the why question that we shake like a fist at God or at the universe, that why question changes, because who can tell why bad things happen? Who can tell with certainty why this person gets cancer and this person does not, and whatever else happens in our lives? There's all sorts of theories, but we can't know for sure. We must feel our anger. We must feel our grief. We cannot cut ourselves off from that. But when we have felt our anger and our grief enough, and we sense that there is another step we can take, perhaps that step is to ask a different question. Not why, but what now? What is next? How we respond is up to us. The what now, that is in our control, even if the occurrence of cancer in our bodies or some other kind of fragility is not in our control. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That is how the light gets in. So, ring the bells that still can ring. And now it is past time for me to end. So many more stories gathered. So many more stars and songs and faces. But now we must loosen hands, let go, and say goodbye. So goodbye, Bill Buckley. Goodbye, Orion Mann. Goodbye, Lorraine Spalding. Goodbye, Joe Greenberg. Goodbye, Boyd McCown. Goodbye, Ed Mangiofico Jr. Goodbye to so many others. Thank you for laying the foundations which we are building on. Thank you for lighting the fires which we are warming ourselves by. Thank you for planting the trees whose shade we enjoy. Thank you for digging the wells which we drink from. And thank you, UUCA, for sustaining this community with your time and energy and money so that there is a community to be a member of, lasting over the years, generating so many blessings, which are beautiful legacies we are receiving right now. Hear the voice of death. It does not say, fear me. It does not say, wonder at me. It does not say, understand me. It says, think of life. Think of the privilege of life. Think how great a thing life may be made.
Our final hymn this morning is the most requested song at memorial services except Spirit of Life. It's We Would Be One. Please rise in body or in spirit.
We would be one as now we join in singing our hymn of love to pledge ourselves anew to that high cause of greater understanding of who we are and what in us is true. We would be one in living for each other, to show to all a new community. We would be one in building for tomorrow a nobler world than we have known today. We would be one in searching for that meaning which binds our hearts and points us on our way. As one we pledge ourselves to greater service, with love and justice strive to make us free.
Please join hands for the benediction. So, when we were still at Cliff Valley, Orion would always sit behind me. Remember where I used to sit? Yeah. Orion would always sit behind me. And here's what Orion would do. Take the damn order of service. You go like this. Practically the entire service. Drove me crazy. Just like, Orion. Of course, I couldn't do that because I'm the minister, right? I can't say, shut up. Can't do that. He was just Orion. I just didn't want his toes to touch me, get through the open, his whatever, right? Seriously, he wore them all the time. These open sandals. But you know what? So, I come to his memorial service, of course, obviously, because I'm officiating, and I learned so much about this man. So much that it's just, you just don't even know what the questions are to ask, right? Until the ultimate question is asked when one dies. And then it becomes the time to tell the stories, and then everything comes out. And then I learn about this guy who used to bug the crap out of me, and I'm just like, what a great man. And every time, in every service, it's like that, right? People I knew really well, people I didn't really know, but every time I'm walking away going, whoa, this is great life that has been in this world and whose influence will be never ending, like starshine. And I guess the thing I want to ask you to do right now, is I want you just to look around this place and look at all these faces. Because each person here, well, each one's going to die, and the story is going to be told, and amazing things are going to come out. And I guess what I'm asking you to do is, don't wait. Love each other. Because here we are. We're all infinitely deep in our stories. Let's share these stories. Celebration of life every day. That's Unitarian Universalism. I hope we can make it so. Go in peace.
Amen.